Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of LRM Online. This is the week of December 20th, 2021. This is our last or next to last show before the new year. This is very exciting.
It is.
So
it is. I think it's our last show, right? Are we doing it next week?
I don't know. Maybe we'll talk favorite things.
See.
We'll figure it out. We never figured it out until like the end. If I could go back and see the number of shows where like right after we do the outro, we're like, what are we doing next week? And there's just like a conversation that fades into the background as the music is going on. We're like a last minute type of thing. It's all right. It's fine. But for this week's show, we're going to be talking about The Matrix and a whole bunch of news that happened this week. Lots of interesting things, some of it multiversal and some of it not. But on this show, we've got Nick Dahl, Tanya Watson, Joseph J. Medina, and Danny K. Bartlett. Folks, what's going on?
Yo.
Hello.
Hello. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
I love your hat.
Nice hat.
You've got like a
hat.
wonderful hat. He's feeling the
Santa
Christmas
Claus
spirit.
hat for those listening.
It must be Christmas. I'm wearing a hat. That's it. I'm not wearing any underwear, but I'm wearing a hat.
I mean, it's Dubai, right? So like, it's all right. You got to like add one thing and subtract another, so you don't like fucking sweating through your clothes.
I will get Betty Swallocks if I have to wear underwear.
I'm in a pink snuggie. That's not Christmas Eve,
I
but
was
it's
being
pink.
polite for Tanya.
You can't
That's why
say
it
things
says
like that
Betty
and have your
Swallocks.
camera off.
I don't want you to see the pink snuggie. I'm really in a snuggie.
I believe
Hold
it.
on,
I remember I used to have the off-brand Snuggie. It was a comfy.
I have a snuggie somewhere.
Nice.
Nice.
That looks comfortable.
I love it. That does look
Tanya does
comfortable.
not lie.
And you're a woman with a name.
Tanya does not turn her phone off. Sorry.
It's like the Matrix behind you.
That is like it is. Holy shit! Look at you all theme. You
This
know
is just
what-
hippie tapestry. Wait, here. Blonde, brunette, redhead. Get the reference? It's a reference. Okay, there we go.
I got it.
I
It's
understood that
weird,
reference.
but I got it.
So we've got, like I said, a bunch of news. There were a bunch of trailers that came out this week. I actually kind of want to start with the thing that you all were talking about a little second ago. So we have divisive thoughts on this show about Cowboy Bebop, but there have been thousands of fans that have written to Netflix that want the show uncanceled. So I'm trying to find the number. There's a petition that right now has 56,000 signatures on it with a goal of 75,000. And these folks are trying to get the show uncanceled by Netflix, which I find super ironic because, you know, Netflix is usually the one that saves stuff from the grave. And so who saves
Not
Netflix
anymore.
shows from the grave?
Hulu?
Well,
Amazon.
They used to. They've actually started canceling them pretty heavily,
Right.
starting a few years back.
so if
And now
not them,
everyone's
then
just
who?
like, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's like basically, if you're getting revived by Netflix, you're not getting more than 2 seasons. Or if you're coming to Netflix, you're probably not getting more than 2 seasons unless you're like Stranger Things or I guess The Witcher or what was the other thing that came out? Maybe Arcane,
Ooh.
because that seems to be or Squid Game. Those might be getting big soon. They're actually Squid Game. I was about to change the subject. Let's continue with your topic because that's what we were talking
Well,
about.
it's funny that you mentioned Witcher because we're going to talk about that a little bit in the show. But I'm just curious. So I think there are 2 of you all on the show right now that really liked the animated, or no, actually 3. So Nick, Tanya, and Jammer, right? All 3 of you liked the live action version, right? Danny, you did not. You did?
Which
I
one?
guess I'm
Wait,
the
we're
live
talking about
action.
Cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
Okay. Have you guys signed the change.org petition?
I will after
Here's
this.
the thing.
17
Not that
times.
they work.
Here's the real
Yeah, they never
petition.
work.
Get your friends to watch the show.
I
That's the
feel
real
like
petition.
we need a
Otherwise,
segment on
that's
the
money
show.
talks.
We need a segment on the show called like The Thing with Jammer, because like that's the intro to every point he made. Like, here's the thing.
Oh, do I really say that?
The picture of thing.
Yes.
I
Yes,
didn't
you
know
do.
that.
What's up with
I-
that?
That is your
I
thing.
wish
With
I was
that.
smart enough to find a way to like make a supercut of like, here's the thing. Joseph Jammer.
I'm actually
Like,
curious. Like, if we can get like all of the cuts, I'm wondering how stupid they sound or if they actually sound good. When I usually say that, is it usually followed by something insightful or is it usually like, oh, well, he's fucking high?
So you'll
Stupid
find this to
or-
be funny.
Here's the
I
thing.
almost
Nobody
stopped
likes
listening.
peanut butter and jelly. Nobody.
Whoa.
Actually, my brain just logs the fact that you've said it, and then I kind of stop listening for a second, and I come back like, oh, he said the thing. I totally do it DiCaprio. Like he said the thing. Anyway, I'm sorry. How do you all feel about this? And do you wish that Netflix would uncancel? Is it too late? Like, give me some thoughts and feelings.
Netflix canceled Daredevil at its peak. So I did not take that personally. And but I did hope that, you know what, maybe Hulu or Amazon Prime or somebody else will hear the kind of fan kind of noise and decide, you know what, this is niche enough where we could pick this up and support it here. So I hadn't really felt like it was totally dead yet because it just got announced. I still feel like there's a little bit of hope, but I wouldn't count on Netflix going back because they didn't give a fuck about those Marvel shows, and that's Marvel. So yeah.
I mean, it also may have been an additional thing where it's just like, I'm sure there was a lot of legal red tape and Ike Perlmutter-isms they had to fucking deal with those Marvel shows that they were just like, you're a hassle.
That's the main reason. And the viewership did drop on all of the shows throughout the seasons. I think after Defenders, at least.
Iron Fist was like the decline. Luke Cage season 2 was kind of blah. Jessica Jones season 2, what the fuck was that?
I haven't even watched
Jessica Jones season 2.
It's horrific.
Except for Punisher.
Jessica Jones season 2 was worse than Iron Fist season 1.
Oh,
that's a claim. That is something.
It's bad.
Yeah, I heard season 3 was good, but I didn't see it.
Don't care. I didn't watch it.
Accidentally did the Spider-Man meme. What the fuck?
Who had a season 3? Iron Fist had a season 3?
No.
Oh,
Jessica Jones.
Defenders.
Jessica Jones season 3?
Yeah.
I didn't watch.
I refused to watch it. It was
literally. I didn't watch the last 1 or 2 episodes of season 2 because I'm like, I'm out. I don't care. I'm done. Characters are doing silly things.
Yeah.
Daredevil was the only show of that group that stayed consistently good throughout all of his seasons. I love
the second half of season 2 was anything with the hand. I
didn't like Elektra.
Did not like. Yeah, Elektra
season 3 was amazing.
But like, I think the episodes like 5 through 8 or 9
Punisher
were kind of Daredevil, but then like I think it wrapped up pretty well.
I was on the Bullseye guy, right? That shit was amazing.
Yes.
No, that was season 3. I'm talking about the Elektra and the hand segment of season 2. But I thought they wrapped that up really well at the very end of season 2, with like when they brought back the Punisher and he was on the roof sniping, and I was like, oh shit, it's a Punisher. And I haven't watched a single season of the Punisher. I need to get back to that.
It was very sad, so I couldn't get into it. It's like, oh man, I could go to work if I want to see veterans with PTSD.
It's super depressing.
It's fair.
What I do find interesting about the Cowboy Bebop thing is, so I do think that there is. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm here for. Bring us back to center. What I do find interesting about it is, so there is a network. This is not official. This isn't news. Amazon has picked up, I think, Expanse from the Sci-Fi Channel. That's where it originally was. So there is a place potentially for this to go, and it is a network that has a precedent of picking up sci-fi shows, and they're trying to build their bench as well. But I think the problem is,
Amazon's Expanse was a little different in that wasn't Bezos like just deeply invested in the Expanse world, so it was like more of a personal pet project than like a business decision.
He likes Cowboy Bebop
and he likes space. He likes space, baby.
Somebody call this asshole a space cowboy so he can get into it and then feel personally invested.
You know what I don't need?
You can be Spike Spiegel one day.
He's a bounty hunter. I don't need that.
It sounds like, basically this is all convincing me that just Elon Musk is going to get a streaming channel and he's going to get Cowboy Bebop. I feel like he's closer to doing this than freaking Bezos is in Amazon.
Well, the question is, Netflix is a production company, I assume. Like, they might own too much of it for it to just be.
Yeah.
Like, it's easier to pick up canceled network shows because network TV is
is
dying. But
here's what I think is the bigger problem with this. It's not necessarily that not enough people watched it. If you look at who did watch it and what happened after the fact. So folks watched this and it was in the top 10 for a couple of seconds and it had 74 million viewing hours worldwide, but then it just dropped 59%. And so I think that there's a difference between a show that not a lot of people are watching, but there's a rabid fan base versus a lot of people that watched it and were just like, nah, fuck it, I'm out. So I don't know if that's worth investing in a declining market.
What if all the
admittedly, I also
week 1.
Well, I did like Cowboy Bebop. I kind of lost me near the end. There was too much vicious. I feel like the style wore off a little bit.
Favorite part of it.
Yeah, he was so boring every
Him
single
and
time.
his
Actually,
girlfriend.
I think episode 2 had like the best part where he like was forced to kill her, but then it was like blank or it was unloaded or whatever. I think that was a good scene. I think that was the only good scene that he had in the entire season of the show. But yeah, like I just, the style of it just got old after a while. Well, I really liked it. And then the narrative itself wasn't really strong enough for me to keep caring for the entire time. Though I still like the style. I like the actors. I like the overall feel of it. I just wish that it was supported by a plot that I cared more about.
Yeah, I agree.
But I feel like the main team was so strong. If that is everybody's common complaint, just do another storyline. Because you have the solid part is the hard part, which was the main team, huh?
Yeah, just do the better job, give them better material to work with, because the main team was great.
Yeah,
except for Ed.
Oh,
at the very end.
So what's crazy about that is I feel like there's a part of me that thinks it's unfair to judge Ed based on the 10 to 20 seconds we got on screen. That said, Ed is not fucking Pee Wee Herman. Like, that voice was not it. And so while there was an opportunity to readjust, I think the problem is you have to get people, at least like me, that are fans of the show, to be like, oh, I'm excited to see that character and what they do next with them. And I was just like, nah, that's not.
I think you're kind of a perfect balance with fans when it comes to this stuff, because you're not overly attached to the source material. You're kind of open to stuff. So if it doesn't land with someone like you with this particular property, there's a problem. And even someone like me who's like leans more towards, do what you want because it's whatever. The original is still there, and just try something different. And I think they mostly did a good job with that, but man, they swung with Ed. And I was watching it, and it's like that Michael Scott meme where he's cringing. That's kind of how I felt watching it. It was just like,
It was even, I feel like I should move on this topic since I've got that positive comment from you, but the last thing I'll say is I went back and watched a couple of episodes of the anime, and just the way that they introduce her is like, it's so much worse in this.
Oh, in this, yeah. Because she's weird, but she also she can be even keeled even while she's being weird, whereas this one was just like
11.
Yeah.
Did you say 11, Tanya?
Yes, I did.
Holy shit. Yes,
Mine's
11. That hurt. So it's just Anyway, you guys ready to move on? Or
yes,
they should have gotten 11 to play Ed. I could see that. I know she's probably a little old at this point. She's like what, 17 or 18? They should have gotten her 6 years ago to play
when they made it 6 years ago. Should have gotten Don.
Isn't she more feminine presenting now? Like she's lost her kind of childlike gender ambiguity.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I have not. I can't say I've seen her outside. When was the last time I saw her? Enola Holmes.
The Enola Holmes.
Godzilla. You didn't see Godzilla versus Kong? Didn't we talk about
I guess I did.
Podcast?
We did.
You just forgot.
I forgot.
Tony forgot about the villain of Spider-Man 2. Only this is much more.
In fairness, that was 25 years ago. How many years ago is that at this point?
It's a comparison in the movie quality. You probably forgot you watched Godzilla versus Kong.
I saw a post about, I think it was Weta, celebrating their movies that they did this year, and Kong was on there. Kong versus Godzilla. I was like, fuck, that was this year.
Yeah,
it felt so long ago. I hated that movie so much. I was so like, it was just such a mess. It was all over the place. I don't understand that movie.
That's so funny.
My friend was like, what did you expect for the movie? I'm like, I expected it to be, I don't know, good. I watched it twice. I don't know why.
What? Why?
Because I wanted to make sure I went in, I was like, okay, well, maybe I just had specific expectations, so I don't have those anymore. Let me watch it again. Also, I'm going to be drinking with friends. And it just wasn't fun. I didn't hate it, and I definitely am not going to watch it again. That's crazy.
Man, hold that thought.
That's because you're smarter than I am.
That's going to come up later. Did I give too much away?
No, it's a nice tease.
Stay tuned.
Keep people listening with all this off-topic conversation. Bring us back.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Nick. Bring us back to Netflix. So we got a trailer this week for it. Premiered after the end of The Witcher season 2. So we got a trailer for Blood Origin, which stars Michelle Yeoh. It's actually going to star Michelle Yeoh as well as what?
Sorry, you said Blood Origin, and it sounded like you said Blood Orgy. It's just
Oh,
like,
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say blood orange. I was like, what's funny about blood oranges? They're yummy.
oh, blood oranges are good, but no.
I'm worried about
Not
where
the
your
other
head's
thing.
at. So yeah, Michelle Yeoh. And Jodie Turner Smith actually dropped out of this project, but this is going to be set 1,200 years prior to The Witcher, which I think it's kind of interesting that Netflix has greenlit this and was in production before this season of The Witcher even started, because as of right now, The Witcher season 2 tops Netflix lists of television shows and it has 140 million hours streamed. So
wait, is this a movie or a TV show? I forgot. I watched the trailer, but I thought it was a movie. Am I wrong?
I thought that it was a show.
Okay. I mean, I just didn't know because I haven't seen The Witcher either, which is my opinion.
Yeah,
on the
I want to
trailer.
say it's a show because in it says the Untold Chapters.
Okay.
So I think that means episodes.
Oh, the animated one was a movie, right? Wasn't there an animated Witcher project?
I
or
actually
something?
haven't seen that
You're
yet.
correct. I believe you're correct.
But
yeah, I
I
need to
mean,
indulge in the Witcher world, but I'm behind in the fantasy shows I need to watch, so I haven't even gotten to season 2 of The Witcher just yet. But I will.
Yeah, me either.
Really?
Finish Wheel of Time.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed
It's a
The
series,
Witcher.
an anime, a game, and a book.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Netflix really is investing this. Like, to their credit,
Finally.
they know what a good thing is. And people seem to be enjoying it, and Henry Cavill is enjoying the shit out of it. So
Just keep
I guess
that
since
man
I'm the
happy.
only one that's seen it, what did
So
you
what
guys
was
think
the
about the
story?
trailer?
Oh, it looks good. It looks very pretty.
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh can do no wrong.
Man, between this and that other trailer we got last week, Everything All at Once, what was it? I can't even say that title.
Multiverse movie, right?
Yeah, the multiverse. That's, you
No,
know what,
multiverse,
Michelle Yeoh
yeah.
multiverse. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
That. So between that and this, I'm like, yep, I'm in. Nick, you had an emoticon on the trailer that I posted. And I couldn't tell what it was. It was like the raised eyebrow. Do you have feelings about this trailer?
On this trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just because I don't know anything about The Witcher. That's why. That's why I said I don't have an opinion on the trailer. That's maybe I had a reaction to it, like it looked good. I barely remember watching it, just because I don't have any context for the world yet. Okay. Because I think you warned me, Jonesy. I thought that maybe I should wait till season 2 to start watching season 1 because someone on the podcast did. I thought
That sounds like something you'd say. And the reason why I think is because of the time dilation they do in that first season. It's like, well, season 2, they're probably actually going to get into the meat of the story. So I could see you recommending it that way.
because
for
now
someone
I'm going
like
to watch
Nick.
season 1 too. So I
Sure,
don't have an
if I
opinion
said
on
it.
the trailer.
Jammer says I said I must have.
I said it
Trustworthy
sounds like
as
something
internet.
you would say. I didn't say I remembered you saying it. Or maybe I said it. I don't think I would have said that though.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Just fucking do it, Nick. Just watch
I
the
am.
show.
I just
Just
said
watch it. It's
now I am
enjoyable.
going to watch it now that season 2's
Okay.
out.
I finished
Alright.
season 1 and I'm not even a fantasy person and I don't remember thinking anything negatively about it. You can tell
Yeah.
Henry Cavill's having fun doing it,
I know. That's all I want.
which is
Yeah.
funny.
Henry Cavill to be happy.
Building his computers, playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
and
Living
They
the
want
I
to
feel
play
best life.
Superman. Let him just.
I was
He's
gonna
a big
say-
fan.
that's the one thing. As successful as he is, I imagine he just goes to his closet every night, opens it up, and there's a Superman
Cries.
cape in it, just cries. Like that's the one
Just
thing.
picture him wearing it, crying in the bathtub like Peter B. Parker.
I'm sad. Even though he's
He's like
having
a less crazy Nick Cage. Like his career just isn't what you thought it would be, but it's not terrible. But he does things he likes, so you can't really be mad at him.
yeah.
Dude
I'm
is
excited for the
Superman.
Mass Effect
Impossible.
Dude
series.
is freaking Geralt of Rivia. He's fucking somebody else that I forgot, but I know there's a third thing.
Listen,
It's a
if
bad
they
guy
get this
Mission
man to
Impossible
play
movie.
Commander Shepard, I will probably lose my shit.
I never played those games, so
They're
I can't say
fantastic.
I'd be
That would be
excited.
awesome,
I
actually.
know. I just don't have time to play video games. I'm trying.
Don't you play like Path of the Octopus? What is it called? Path of the what is it?
Octopath Traveler.
There you go. See, don't make that face. You knew exactly what the fuck I was
No,
talking about.
I got
I see you
20
hop on
hours
Switch
into-
all the time.
What?
We used to play Overcooked together.
We did. No, but like I get like 20 hours into freaking Octopath Traveler, and then I realized you needed to grind for about 5 hours before you go to the next chapter. And I'm like, no, it's too much grinding.
Okay.
Too much.
All right. No more octopus for Jammer. You guys ready to move
No
on?
more.
He's chafed.
Yep.
No, you're not ready to move on. Danny's shaking his head. You ready? You ready or not?
No, not yet.
You
That
want
is
salt
not.
water or water? since you're like an octopus.
Water. There's a T in it.
So we got a trailer or teaser for John Wick, and really there wasn't much to it, and it was basically an announcement of when the movie is going to come out. So previously this film was going to come out in May of 2022, and it has now been moved to March of 2023. The trailer that we get is one that shows the call operators taking his little dossier, his portfolio, and saying like, yeah, we're going to get this dude. And that's kind of it. You get a new date for when the movie's going to be coming out. And what I find interesting about this trailer is that it drops right after The Matrix. And I'm like, oh God, this is the Matrix series that I actually wanted. So did you guys have any thoughts or feelings about the new John Wick or the move and date?
I tried to find a reason why they moved it. Like I looked at articles and stuff.
You know what it might have been? Maybe it had to do with Doctor Strange getting moved from, what was it, March to May, and now so they're like, oh fuck, don't want to compete with Doctor Strange. Get the fuck out of there. Vacate.
Wait, doesn't Doctor Strange come out next year?
Yeah.
So you're saying they moved an entire year to get away from Doctor Strange?
There has to be another reason.
Which they moved it away from that same month, but maybe a year because they couldn't just find a good slot for it. But I don't know.
Okay.
And they would
do I look like Lionsgate
with the throwaway movies?
Oh, but here's the thing: January of next year, right? Here, didn't it that movie? No, it didn't.
Isn't it March of next year? We said
March of next year. Okay.
No, I said they wouldn't want to just push it to like January or like throwaway months.
Yeah.
Like maybe March was the first good month that they could push it to, which happened to be the next year.
You guys remember when that movie Monster Trucks came out in January of like 2017?
Is that where the monsters were the trucks?
Yeah.
I saw the trailer.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that movie.
I didn't just grab it until now because I remember thinking like, oh, that's definitely January, and then it was like January of 20 whatever, and I was like, oh, okay.
Jordan Peele is the only person who can put movies out in goofy months like January or February. Because I think Get Out was like released in like January or February or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
not Jordan Peele.
Are kind of blockbuster months now. Deadpool's in February, the first one. Massive hit. Logan was like March of the year. I guess by you get to March, it's really ramping up. But growing up, it's like, you get like I Spy or something in like August or September. It's the first one that came to my head. Then you get your blockbusters during the summer.
I Spy.
Or the Tuxedo, that Jackie Chan movie.
The Tuxedo.
It's like a September release because no one goes to the movies in September.
So moving on from terrible movies, Spider-Man 4. So there's a bunch of Spider-Man news that came out relatively recently. The film is killing at the box office right now. It has the third highest debut of any movie, and it's crazy to say something like that when we're still in the midst of a pandemic, regardless of what people say. But Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal have said that Spider-Man 4 is currently in the works. And Pascal said, we're producers, so we always believe everything will work out. I love working with Kevin. We have a great partnership along with Tom Rothman, who runs Sony and has been instrumental, a great leader with great ideas. I hope it lasts forever. And following that, Kevin Feige said that, they're talking about it and they're working on a fourth movie, which is fascinating because in contrast to that, Tom Holland was like, I want to take a break from acting. And so I don't know if those things are actually in conflict with one another.
Yeah, take a break, Tom. Just don't do anything between now and when you have to film for Spider-Man 4. There you go.
Yeah, how long you need? 2 weeks? All right, we're good, baby.
It's like Ryan Reynolds' announcement where he's like, I forgot, like indefinite. He a word like that, and he's like, well, that could be 6 months, that could be a year. It doesn't mean I'm like, you won't see Deadpool 3. I'm just with my family for 6 months, and then I'll come back to acting.
Yeah, and so I'm really curious what, if anything, that means. But part of it was the idea that he's been working for 6 years straight in the film industry, and he's just been making movie after movie after movie, be it Spider-Man or Uncharted or whatever that terrible movie he made with Daisy Ridley was. So
Chaos Walking.
I was trying to think of the title.
There you go. Sure, whatever.
He has that other thing coming out with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
Uncharted.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the sci-fi thing with.
That was
he said Uncharted, and then Then he said, and that stupid movie with
Did I say stupid?
Whatever, dude.
In the movie where he was a crackhead or a meth head.
Oh, Cherry.
Cherry.
I never ended up seeing.
I haven't seen that yet.
Even though it was Russo
I'm
brothers.
not going to say it.
Looks so boring.
It does look boring. So it'd be interesting to see if those things were in conflict. One of the other things I think is interesting is I have read that he has said this. I can't find a direct quote, but he's talked about actually this quote I did see where he said, if I'm playing Spider-Man in my 30s, I've been doing this for too long, or I've done something wrong. And the thing that I could not find that someone else said he said online was the idea that like he doesn't want to hold another young actor back from being Spider-Man. And so it's even possible for like the next Spider-Man to be even more diverse, hinting at Miles Morales, which we've gotten at least 2 hints at in the MCU thus far. So
That should be black.
Good for him.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So what, if any, reaction do you guys have to all of this Spooderman news?
I hope he continues because I want to see the symbiote storyline continue with him. That we got a tease of in the post credit. And then I have a theory. This is completely a Nick Dahl theory, but a lot of my theories come true. Like some Matrix theories I had. I think he might be doing it so that he can, if Sony's looking for their Bond, or not Sony, whoever does Bond these days, and because he really wants the job. That's why he's like, hey, my schedule's open. There's no way he's getting the job. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's not going to look like a man until he's into his 40s.
I'm getting a big east-west from Jammer and Danny. Danny, you've been on this Bond train. Like you've been asking. Can you please weigh in on what you think of a Tom Holland James Bond?
No, thank you. No.
He has it in his head.
No, thank you. That's it. That's all I have to say on that. Tom, no.
No comment.
It's a very polite British no thank you.
I just imagine like in the trailer where they go like, if someone calls his name Bond, James Bond, and he's just like, call me Jimmy, and he puts on his sunglasses. And that's his take on it.
Jimmy Bond.
No.
Little Jimmy Bond. Oh, little Jimmy.
Son
Please,
of
sir,
Bond.
can I have some more?
Please, Q, can I have some more? Need more bullets? No.
Can I have some more gadgets, please, Q?
Start quality, please.
I can't reach the pedals in the Aston Martin. My legs are hanging up.
Yo, that is one thing that just sticks out to me so much watching this last Spider-Man movie is how tiny that man is.
He's not that tiny. He's 5'8".
Well, you put him next to Zendaya. It's like
You put him next to
like-
Zendaya, Tobey
5'11".
Maguire, and
But she's
Andrew
5'10".
Garfield.
But I like
I mean, yeah,
the joke.
that's
I
a
like the
stupid
interview where it's
thing
like
to say.
we couldn't land correctly because she would have to land before him, which doesn't make any sense. And you can see that in the shot. They try, like, she definitely makes contact before he does with the surface where he's supposed to kind of be catching her.
That's funny.
Catching
No,
off
but I mean,
put
like-
your legs down and damn, just tip. You can use that.
Crap.
I mean, of course, but put him next to somebody taller, then he's gonna look shorter than them. That's
That's
science.
basically everybody in this movie.
Yeah.
It just drove home the point. Like
It doesn't matter.
Well, because we're thinking about
height-
him in the context of James Bond, and James
Okay.
Bond is so
6
Daniel
foot.
Craig was 5'10".
I was gonna say, is he tall? Daniel Craig?
He's taller,
No.
so he's 5'10".
He's two. If he stood next to Zendaya, they'd be the same height.
Okay.
That was the logic. I'm just applying the same ridiculous logic you all are applying. It's like,
Yeah, but
put
it
him
would
next
still
to
work.
somebody
It
taller
would
than
still
him. And he
work.
looks so
Put him on
short.
Apple
It would still work.
boxes. No one realizes how short Ethan Hunt is.
Everyone realizes it.
Everybody
Like, it's a
knows how
constant-
Everybody knows how
It's
short he
a
is, yeah.
constant
In real life,
topic
but,
of
like-
discussion.
They shoot in weird angles so he doesn't even look that much shorter than Henry Cavill.
But he's not actually supposed to be a superhero. He's a government employee. It's okay for government employees to be.
I know,
short.
but like mostly for the actor who doesn't want to feel inferior. They always put him on so many Apple boxes in like every movie.
Oh, like
that's
Iron
putting
Man.
shots.
When he was
Yeah.
standing next to Gwyneth Paltrow, they gave him heels
Yep.
in a box.
And so by contrast, Pierce Brosnan was 6'1". So
Damn.
like I hear what you're saying, Jammer. Maybe
I
they'll
don't
be
know why-
creative with those crazy
I don't
angles.
want him to be James Bond. I'm just
I was gonna
saying.
say,
It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like
I
it.
don't
You're
either.
arguing
I
for a
just thought
thing.
that's in his
That's
head.
not
He thinks he
arguing.
might
I
get
think
it.
height. I think height is a stupid reason, though.
No, he's just.
He's very boyish
Babyface,
looking as well.
like
I think
me.
when he's 40, he's still going to look like he's 20.
There are other
Don't think-
reasons that are better than height, is what I'm saying.
Not for me. That's one.
Okay.
For me, that's
I
one.
think the idea that there can't be a dark-skinned James Bond is ridiculous, as if England doesn't have brown countries they're at war with that a white James Bond wouldn't stick out in as like a sore thumb. Like, are you telling me there aren't like imperialist colonies that like Idris Elba could blend in better than Daniel Craig or any other James Bond could? Like, they could have a whole plot line in
like
the Middle
the
East.
new 007.
That was part of the argument in XXX, right? That in the very first scene, the James Bond went into a bar, and it's like, you don't fit in this scene, you don't fit in this world. And he got murdered very quickly. So what you're saying fits, and they told that's like they made that argument like decades ago at this point. So you're not wrong.
I think a lot of people are willing to embrace James Bond now.
Stares at Danny.
Danny's maybe the only one who. I wasn't gonna say only racist would embrace, but I'm like, a true fan might not want it.
You know, actually, fuck the black James Bond. I'm surprised there's not an Indian James Bond, right?
That would actually make, honestly, that would make more sense.
A lot of sense.
The British,
it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it would.
Fucking hell.
I'm actually not kidding. I'm
Bond.
legitimately not kidding.
I feel out of place speaking on the statistics, but aren't people of Indian descent like the largest ethnic minority in the UK? Am I wrong about that?
Let me see.
No idea.
It's 1.4 million people in the UK, single largest visible ethnic minority population in the country.
Nice. So it would, even just for that country, it would make way more sense to have an Indian spy. It's spy work. Don't you need to blend in?
Yeah, I guess for me, the only thing that really bothers me about the conversation is that
002, 003, 0045, 79, 12, 11, 4, all of them could be of some minority.
So here's what bothers me about this.
Except for Alec Trevelyan.
What bothers me about this whole conversation is not just the one that we're having, is the one that people are having generally. Because I think the last Broccoli was even talking about, like, yeah, they could even be non-binary. It's bothersome to me. Yeah, like whoever the fuck owns the franchise. What bothers me about that part is the idea that, like, you have Lashana Lynch and an entire film crew that you've got an M, you've got a Q, you've got Moneypenny, you've got it all already lined up. Just continue the story. So it seems really frustrating to me that the black woman is just like, yeah, we're like, there's not even a conversation about having it continue with her. And so I thought that she did well in No Time to Die. And I think for people that are like, we want a diverse James, like, right the fuck there. Like, you have that series right there.
Well, the series is called 007, not James Bond. So, like I said, I wouldn't want to see a Jane Bond, but I'd see a female 007. Now, all the movies are titled 007, Skyfall, 007, No Time to Die.
Yeah, but they all end and say James Bond will return.
In that movie. That's
all the films, like you, they do. Yeah,
they did say
every
that
single one
says
says
that.
that.
Yeah. They should have switched to 007 will return.
I don't want a Jane Bond. I'm perfectly comfortable with a continuation of this storyline and letting that character continue.
That was my question to you, Jonesy.
Yeah.
Could we not just continue with that character, and she can be 00 whatever the fuck, and just have that? Why do we feel like we need to change one character to fit when you've got these great actors?
No fucking
just
clue.
Continue that story. And like you said, they're already there. She's already there. We already know she's an agent. We already know she's a very capable agent in the field. So let's just have a fucking movie with no backstory.
With room to grow, right?
Yeah. Why can we not just do that?
I don't know. And again,
because
we're not even on topic at all.
What was the story again?
It's an offshoot of my theory because of the Tom Holland story.
Yeah,
but it's your fault then, Nick.
It's always Nick's fault. It is my fault.
It's always Nick's fault. Anyway,
I didn't mean to.
Anyway, let's move on to some DC news. Oh, God damn it! So annoyed. Anyway, so we've got Michael Keaton joining Batgirl. So this should be interesting. So he's moving on from The Flash, and he is now going to be in the Batgirl film that's coming out, that's going to be helmed by the Bad Boys for Life helmers. And so we've got J.K. Simmons returning, and this is going to be starring, oh man, her name just jumped out of my head from In the Heights. Crap. Anybody know her name?
Did you say J.K. Simmons returning?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Gordon.
Oh, it's Gordon. Okay.
He was.
Okay.
He never got enough
Leslie
screen time.
Grace.
I thought he was great casting, but he never got enough screen time.
Yeah, so we've got Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon is going to be J.K. Simmons, and then we've also now got Michael Keaton as Batman. In addition to that, there was some additional. God, I can't even talk today. There was some additional news that came out that Michael Shannon and Anja Trow from Man of Steel. So that was Zod and
the badass chick.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember the character's name either.
crap, Feora. So those characters are also returning, and so it's kind of interesting to me that Batgirl is becoming a project that went from like, "Oh, I'm kind of interested in that," based on who the directors are going to be. Like, man, I really want to see this now to see what they're going to do with all of these characters.
I thought that was Flash. That
Is it Flash?
Said, I think that was the rumor because that would make more sense. A multiversal thing. They could get back Zod and.
You know what? You're right. I'm sorry.
That would
I'm
make
mixing up
sense
my
for them
DC
being a
news.
Batgirl.
So Zod and Feora are joining Flash, and then Michael Keaton is joining Batgirl. That's
Through
why my head's
Flash.
all screwed up. Through Flash. So do you guys have any reaction to these characters and actors joining those respective movies? So just to be clear, because I fucked it up. Batgirl, we've got Michael Keaton. And then in Flash,
fault.
we've got Feora and Zod.
I think Michael Keaton putting him in Batgirl is a great choice. Second only to if they did like Batman Beyond type movie, which hopefully we'll get. But and their age difference is enough that he won't fuck her like in the Killing Joke cartoon.
Fingers
That was
crossed.
so weird.
You never
so
know.
fucking weird.
I don't know. There's a blue pill for that.
That's true. Or a mind eraser.
So
What if he chooses the red pill?
what I do think is interesting about this, I would like to see J.K. Simmons interact with Michael Keaton. I think of the news, that is probably one of the more interesting things to me about that particular movie.
Mhm.
They could have interacted in Spider-Man world, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm fine. with it.
Jonah
Vulture
wasn't
and
in,
Vulture and J.
Homecoming.
Jonah Jameson.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
I'll fucking
There's
see it.
there's no
I'll watch
connection.
that.
There's no connection to me for that.
Fucking make a
Like,
connection.
But to have a different Batman interact with a different Jim Gordon would be like almost exact same of what we got with Doc Ock and Doctor Strange and Peter Parker, where he's like, do you know what Peter Parker, that's Spider-Man? Is this him? Like, no. Like, we get to have that with
Yeah.
Batman and Jim Gordon.
Because he
Like,
has
who the
Ben
fuck are you?
Affleck.
Right.
If that
Yep.
movie's even part of continuity anymore.
Who cares?
Or which
They haven't
version
opened
is,
that
or yada,
that
yada.
Flashpoint portal in that universe then?
So I don't know if we know yet, because these projects are in development right now. I don't know how any of what they're doing in the Flash may or may not affect what happens in Batgirl.
Or
The assumption
Injustice.
would be yes.
They had that Injustice cartoon come out.
Oh, that should. You're talking about the cartoon? Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to
The
start
anima-
saying
or the
that.
animated film.
So no serious thoughts or feelings about any of these two movies. Just me rattling on.
I mean, it's
got a redemption, or hopefully he'll get a redemption, because I thought he was 100% wasted in that Superman sequel. I remember he was the thing I was most excited about, because he just nails everything he does, and I feel like they just made him kind of yelly without a lot of menace, and it was just not a good movie anyway. So yeah, hopefully they do him a little better than they did him the last time.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah,
No?
I mean,
Man.
I'll watch these movies either way. It's nice. Michael Keaton is good talent to add. I'm intrigued to see how they tie everything together and how it'll spill over into Batgirl. That sounded really bad, but you know what I mean. How the events will spill over into the Batgirl.
Really worried about you
movie.
today, Jammer. You and your orgies.
Sorry.
and
You have a
spilling over in the
blood
background.
orange
Yeah, what's
orgy
going
with
on?
Batgirl.
You all right? You all right over there?
Anyway, yes, I'm excited for this. I don't care as much about
Scrambled
Michael
to
Shannon and Feora, whatever, showing up in the Flash, but I bet you it's gonna be underwhelming. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, kind of like how what's his name was in Captain
Merovingian?
Marvel, Ronan,
Oh.
Ronan the Accuser, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's just standing around, not really doing anything, but he's
Or the
there.
Merovingian, just yelling and screaming. What if
Yeah.
Zod just shows up? He's like, I will find him.
Is that a semi-spoiler? I probably shouldn't have brought attention to it.
But yeah, I think it would have been sure, it'll be. I don't care. Yeah, sure, I'll watch it. I'm watching it anyway.
Like you just talked yourself into being into it. Like, yeah, cool. Whatever.
Is it just another thing that's just going to upset Henry Cavill that everyone from fucking DC Superman seems to be getting a role in every DC film coming, except him?
Yeah, fucking Crypto's gonna show up in the live action DCU before he does.
Why do I hate him?
They cast the dog. Anyway, so you guys ready to move on? And you guys have all the excitement of like DC fans. You're like, whatever.
I answered the question and got excited about it.
It's hard because it's like you never know how everything connects. You almost don't care because they're still kind of figuring shit out. But I'll watch it either way because I've enjoyed everything that's come out this year from them. I think two movies, right?
Sad commentary that it's so Man of Steel came out in 2013, so it's been almost 8 years, and they're still figuring.
That's so much longer.
Yeah, it does feel longer. I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, these pandemic years, they just slog.
These pandemic years, they're like dog years.
Yeah.
Wait, does that make sense?
I don't
Sort
know.
of.
You may have reversed it.
Depends on the dog.
Reverse dog years.
They're like human
dilation,
years.
Elephant years, turtle years,
Time dilation, string theory. It's all true. Magic.
interstellar
It's true in this world,
years.
too. Keep referencing a better movie.
Doctor Who.
So Jurassic World Domination, right, Nick?
Yeah. No, Dominion.
God damn you, Nick.
Domination.
I've been calling it Dominion. No,
That
I've been
was your
calling it
chance.
that for
I
over a
gave you
year,
a
and no one
chance.
has questioned me.
You know why? Because no one else cares about Jurassic Park except you. Like you're the one that plays the games. Like you're the
Every
one
day,
that's all
yeah.
like, so like, yeah, every day.
I love the
You want to
game.
watch like Camp Cretaceous? And
Yeah, I
like,
didn't
you-
finish the current season. It got really, really weird and science fiction. I mean, I know it like I don't know. It's not a weird thing to say about Jurassic Park, but
I
it
know,
got
yeah,
really
like
strict.
isn't
like
isn't
robots and shit.
Oh,
it got like turned into military sci-fi. Like
It's not
turned
even
into
military.
Starship
It's just
Troopers.
really weird.
Did it turn into like a mech anime?
Not quite, but it feels like
I
it's
do.
getting there.
Oh! It turned into what's that show? What's that show, Jonesy? The Rooster Teeth show?
Oh,
What's that show called?
Genlock.
Turned into Genlock. You don't know what that
I've heard the
is.
second season that was dog shit. I really want to watch
Really?
it though. Yeah, I'm
Wow.
really disappointed. Such a good cast.
Anyway, they have a new raptor in this. I forgot.
Go
what it's
ahead, do the
called.
story. Do the story, Nick.
Yeah, I was gonna take
God
over
damn
the
it.
story.
Come on.
I forgot the name of the raptor. I don't have it in front of me. Don't you have the news in
God
front
damn
of you?
All right. So Empire Magazine, they did an interview with director Colin Trevorrow. And so they announced that there's going to be a new brutal, vicious Artriceraptors, one of the deadliest new dinosaurs in Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh.
I guess, whatever.
And they released a
Uh,
picture.
We're getting power creep with these things. This Jurassic Park's starting to turn into like Dragon Ball Z with like all these different level ups.
This one isn't a hybrid. Though. This is the dinosaur they discovered in 1995, which would have been after they made the first Jurassic Park. They should
I
probably
see.
I think they've gotten over the hybrid obsession because fans don't really like it. Instead,
Oh,
they're
okay. So
finding
it's a-
dinosaurs they haven't shown before that do exist, and then making a monster version of them that looks nothing like the original.
Oh, so it
Got
sounds like it sounds hybrid what you just said, or just an amped up version is what you're saying.
Well, it's
No,
a more
he's saying
dangerous
that
version of the
yeah.
Velociraptor that they discovered.
Oh.
Like it's taller, even though real Velociraptors were about waist height. So maybe this one is actually.
So then what do they do now?
This one's actually the height of the old Velociraptors. They had to make him even taller because Jurassic Park just changed.
I'm telling
the
you,
looks.
these dinosaurs are like, I'm reaching my final form. This is so animal, and they don't even realize it.
chickens.
Yeah.
Another dinosaur's final form. That's her.
Someone just going to scream it's over 9,000
Bird.
pounds.
We're giving Tom
Sparrow.
Holland some more work. He can be a dinosaur now. He can be a velociraptor because he's too short to be a T-Rex.
They're just
So, yeah.
roided out raptors then. Roided.
Anyway, scare your dinosaurs like normal. I know no one
remember
else
when
cares.
remember when they were just animals that were kind of just mindless and just ate?
Those were
And
the
it's like-
days.
Huh?
Those
I
were the
think they're going
days.
back to that too, except for Blue. Like they aren't trained because they even
1994.
like part of the quote was he's like, this guy would kill Chris Pratt on a motorcycle rather than like run alongside him.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm excited.
I liked the first
Probably gonna
Jurassic
suck,
World
but-
movie. I liked the first third of the second Jurassic World movie.
What's
And
the scene
that's
you
all
like,
I
Jonesy? You say you like the
No.
first third. Or I should consider the first scene.
though
Yeah, the
documentary
first
first
scene. I like the first
Yeah.
scene, not the
the
first.
first
third.
What's the first scene to you?
The first scene
What's a
is
scene?
we talked about.
A scene's like 5 minutes. You said a scene. You mean a
yeah.
sequence?
Yeah. No. It's probably about the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's
What's
when
the
they go into
scene? I don't remember.
It's when they go into the tank. It's when they go into the tank
and
they go to the old park to get the bones, and
that's
then
a
there's still
sequence.
something
That's
in the
like
water.
the first. That's like 30 minutes plus of a
That
movie.
is
It's
not
a
30 minutes
scene.
of that movie.
Like when they go away
That's
and the
less than
freaking
10.
the brontosaurus is like.
That's like halfway through the movie.
Standing up.
Wait, what are you talking about? No. I'm talking about.
Is that
So
cool?
there's a scene where they go into the aquatic tank.
Here's the thing.
From
No,
the second
but Jammer's saying he likes it and tell the
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Okay.
Actually,
I'm on your page.
Have we talked about this before? That was actually supposed to be the same one that they saw in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they always say
It
It
stuff
makes
like
me
that.
sadder. That makes me sadder. Makes me want to hug my dog.
It gives me. Yeah, I don't care. Anyway, so the scene that I'm talking about is the part with the tank. They go into the tank, and then there's this like giant whatever the hell is in there, and it eats them. And then this one guy thinks he's going to get away, and then it pulls down the entire helicopter. Like I've never seen a movie go downhill that fast from something I was super into.
Because then cut to the characters we don't care about that much.
I don't give a
driving
shit
up to
about
a
anybody
state
else.
in California.
Yeah, who cares?
Anyways, I liked until the part where the brontosaurus is like, "Don't leave me."
So you like the lava scene? I can't tell if it's supposed to be comical or not, where Chris Pratt's trying to like get away from the lava, but he's like partially paralyzed by like a dart or something.
I don't know. I can't defend
Anyway.
it because I don't even remember that scene, so I can't really defend it.
It stands
But I
out
just-
because I still don't know if it's supposed to be a joke scene or a serious scene. I just remember the crowd was
I think it's
cracking up.
supposed to be funny.
Okay, because then it worked for the audience I saw it with, but they also
Not for
loved the
me.
movie, and I was like,
Not for me. Anyway, we got a movie to review. You guys ready to review movies?
Oh God, yes.
The Matrix
What?
Dominions.
Come on, Jammer, take that red pill, baby. Let's go back into the Matrix. We're going back to where it all began. The Matrix.
Can't believe we're going back to the Matrix.
Yeah, we're going back, baby. So, Matrix came out this week. It currently has. It's actually gone down. So I remember people were putting up
I'm
screenshots
surprised.
of it. Yeah, people were putting up screenshots of it being like fresh at 60 and 70 something percent. I'm sorry, in the 70s with both audiences and critics. It has since creeped down. It's still fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 67% for both. It's got a 6.1% on IMDb, and there's no cinema score out for this one yet, which I find kind of interesting.
When did it come out? This week, Wednesday, right?
Yes.
So probably
Yeah,
we'll
I
get
guess
it
you're
like
right, probably next week.
tomorrow or the next day.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe Saturday.
I was thinking maybe after the weekend,
Hmm.
but
Mhm.
so yeah, this is in fact a film that came out. I can tell by the looks on your faces that no one's particularly excited to talk about this film, which is
I got things to say,
weird,
but-
right? I don't think we've had a consensus like this in a while.
Just like the critics
So-
and the audience, aren't they both the
Yeah,
exact same number?
everybody's
Yeah,
Everybody's
they're both the
stuff like-
exact same.
But you know
They're all
what?
at
I don't think any of us
67%.
think it's fresh. I think the fresh thing, like none of us think it's fresh.
I think 67 is actually appropriate.
I think all of us think it's stale.
I think it's questionable. I think it's that carton of milk that's the day before the expiration. But you smell it and it's like, this isn't
Should I
right.
drink this? Should I drink
It's not-
this?
I really want this cereal, but it's just not right. But the date says it's good. Do I roll the dice with the gas? Do I really want these Lucky Charms?
Is Keanu Reeves the date? Because he's been telling me this is a good movie for like months promoting this shit. Is Keanu Reeves the
Yes.
date? Okay.
Tanya, you're
He's the thing that makes you think it's okay when everything around you is saying,
And
mm-mm.
to that point,
Tanya,
up until the release of this movie, I haven't liked any trailer for it until the very last one. And I was like, you know what?
Last one was good.
Maybe this won't be so bad. And
The one that flashes back all the time, and you're like, surely the movie won't do that every single time a character is similar.
you know what?
Surely they won't
you know what
remind
your
us every
own
shot.
burn is? Constantly reminding me of better movies. Why would you? Anyway, I'm sorry. We're getting off track. So those are the scores. Let's do our typical thing, non-spoiler reactions to this film, and then we'll roll into spoilers. Tanya, you came on specifically to talk about The Matrix because you love this movie so much, right? So why don't you go first? Deep sigh.
It's a deep sigh because ever since I watched it, I don't I am a professional person whose job is to identify feelings in myself and in others. And I'm sitting here in front of you all, and I'm still like, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not angry like I was at the sequels, which years later, the sequels aren't as bad as I felt about them at the time. I can actually watch them and appreciate parts.
I should have rewatched them before.
Huh?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a second. I think it's worth addressing, but go ahead, Tanya.
Yeah.
And I wondered, like, do you want to even talk about the first one? Is it fair to compare it to your experience about the first one? I think it is, because not only can you compare it to the first one, you have to look at the context behind it. Where were we technologically when that movie came out? What did that mean to the people who watched it? And the thing that keeps sticking with me, and I know this is just a minor point of the overall movie. Back then in 1999, we did not have endless entertainment. So I watched that movie in the theater 40 fucking times. Obviously not literally because I was poor, but I watched it multiple times in the theater. So to sit with the first scene, like, do they not know that the people who are super into this already, they're in their 40s and they watched this a million times already? Why are you showing me this movie? Where are you going with this? So for the first part of it, I was just confused trying to see where it was going. And then I liked where I thought it was going. And then it didn't go any of the places where I thought it was going. And then I had this inner conflict of, are you in your brain making the movie you wanted to see? Are you appreciating it for what it is? And the one thing, the overall takeaway was, I don't know what they were trying to tell me. And all my if-then mathematical sentences were, well, if it was this, why did they do this?
Right.
If it was this, why didn't they do this? And I get in this endless loop, which if the point of it was to put me in an endless loop and freeze up my mental program, they did what they were supposed to do.
That's what I told my sister when I got to Spider-Man. I'm like, my brain is like twist. Like I'm like, I almost said in a weird way, like I'm really fucked up. Like I was on.
Yeah, like, I know I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. The
It's
first
like,
movie had a complex. It had complex themes and a complex premise for that. I'm sure it seems very quaint 20 years later with the technology we're living in now, but that shit was amazing back then. But it still explained it to you in a way that didn't make you feel overloaded with information, and you still got it. I don't know what they were trying to tell me. They made it overly complicated to the point that I like really basic things like, why are they trying to kill him now? Like, I don't even really know why they're trying to kill him. I guess I should say, I don't know what the conflict is between Neo, the protagonist, and the antagonist. So basic stuff. It just felt, and didn't we have a conversation about the original Matrix when I was on the show years and years ago?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe we watched it or something.
I have this, or it must have been the anniversary or something. I have this memory of saying I felt the sequels felt rushed. And I don't know if it was Joe or which one of you pointed out that there were years between the original and the sequel. This still feels rushed 20 years later. It's like they had the idea to do this in 2019, fucking forgot about it, and then cranked this shit out and they handed you a first draft. Here's the movie.
So I have context for that, and I'm going to ask you guys about that later.
Okay.
Because I was trying to figure something out, and I think I have an answer to that.
Answers, gay.
But I want to get everybody's reaction, and we'll jump in that. That'll literally be my first question to you guys. And it was going to be a question for Jammer and Tanya based on what you all do in the real world, the real. Danny, let me get your reaction to this.
Immediate Twitter kind of reaction when I walked out of the movie was that just felt kind of unnecessary and almost pointless in the end, because it was such a lot of ideas thrown together in a bucket, swished around, and then, as Tanya said, just thrown onto a script and handed to the producers, because it just felt messy. And I left there thinking, well, it kind of looked pretty and there were some ideas there, but I'm confused as fuck and I'm not really sure what the point of it was. Oh, look, a squirrel. I was immediately distracted by something else. Whereas the first film, like Tanya rightly said, it was so good at the time, but at least it didn't confuse the fuck out of you. It made you think, and it looked fantastic. There didn't seem to be anything here that I felt of any value. It was just a confusing mess when in the end of it. Maybe I need to see it again, but no, I wasn't impressed at all. Frustration. I'm not even frustrated by it. Just
yeah, that's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Jammer, let's hear it.
So everyone has said correct things so far, or they're in line with my thoughts.
So you're retweeting those then.
So I retweet those.
Subtweet.
But yeah, I think the biggest crime of this movie was like I'm okay with being confused in a movie, but it's a problem where I'm just like, wait, so why are they? I don't care. And that's basically I started asking questions, but as soon as I started to think deeply, I was like, I don't want to waste any mental real estate thinking about it. It just doesn't. I don't care. I didn't understand the villains, the tone they were going for. Didn't understand their motivations. Didn't understand the basic premise of like what is that thing that they mentioned? I guess the thing that they were experimenting in. Why Morpheus was an agent and why he got pulled out.
The modal.
It's called a modal.
A modal. What the fuck is that? What is that?
It's a simulation that Neo was using to run for some purpose to figure something out. But I don't know if they ever
was it the entire movie within a modal, or was it
no
the Matrix? Because that's the thing I
he was within a modal, and then supposedly he left some part of it open that Bugs was able to hack into. And so she pulled Morpheus out of the modal into both the real world and the Matrix.
Okay.
Doctor Strange was a better Matrix. So it's a mirror universe where they work on the drafts. They should have kept this shit in a modal and run it a couple of times and clean some shit up.
I mean, it was basically Inception, right? So the modal was this movie's version of Inception.
I missed that part entirely.
But like, this movie was just so
you didn't miss anything.
I don't remember that at all.
Either Danny or Tanya said it felt like a jumble of things, and
we both said that.
It almost felt like they had a lot of ideas, but they just didn't. It's like they didn't have time to dig deep enough. So like, let's just make sure we hit all the points. We hit the Matrix for way too long, and then we're in IO, which is boring, and we don't really get to explore anything. It's just all these things.
Talking about they had strawberries. They had strawberries.
Yeah, they got fruit.
Where was the orgy? The dance orgy.
I know. I was missing that. That's what
I wanted my blood orgy.
Statue was a. It was there just to remind people of the greatest orgy
they
ever had.
I guess one thing to say. One thing to say, I'm glad they've upgraded the technology so they're no longer wearing potato sacks, or they're not looking like Dobby the house elf walking around. So that's good.
Ships haven't changed.
And they can do those things. We're not trying to be murdered by the machines, right? They had time to focus.
Actually, I like that too.
I mean, her part.
Yeah,
we'll get details in a second.
The fact that machines are also like kind of part of the quote unquote resistance against what? I don't know what, but I like the fact that they have allies. It's
who knows.
There's more nuance.
How they ended the last part. Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah. There's more implied nuance, which is great, but like I think there's a lot of interesting ideas, but it's surrounded by a bunch of things that make me uninterested in exploring those ideas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick Dahl, let's hear it.
I kind of dug some of the nostalgia things. Like I love the actor who plays the new Agent Smith, and I dug their relationship. Even he's from Mindhunter.
Groffy.
Jonathan Groff.
Yeah,
Jonathan Groff.
I like him a lot, and I liked his version of Smith, even though he just kind of disappears as
he was a weird choice.
I just like the stuff that was the same as the last movie with him. And
let me tell you who's not menacing: Jonathan Groff.
He was in that.
Or Neil Patrick Harris,
menacing, even though he's the good guy.
I don't think he's supposed to be menacing. I'm sorry.
So well, we should let Nick finish.
Yeah.
And then the other part I was gonna say is, why is Warner Brothers getting so fucking meta in every movie they release? This was like Space Jam, where they're talking about the serververse. They're like, Warner Brothers wants us to make another Matrix. This is one of the lines in the movie. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
I thought I was watching 22 Jump Street for a second.
Yeah,
and I was like,
so
what's happening?
Meta, self-referential, but not in like making fun of itself.
And not in a good way.
Because people talk about Marvel like Marvel is a person. They talk about Marvel like he's a dude. Marvel did this. Marvel says this. Marvel won't do this. We talk about Marvel like he's a guy that makes decisions about things. And I bet they're like, we want in on this. We're a corporation.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made it feel like it was.
I mean, there was the Matrix scene in Space Jam.
Yeah.
Sorry, Danny.
Sorry, buddy. It just in that first 15 minutes, it made it feel like it was becoming a parody of Matrix films. I almost expected to turn to the camera and make a wink joke about Matrix.
Like a parody.
And that was
so let me ask, Nick, are you done with your impression?
That was my quick impression.
Okay. So here's mine. And I think it encompasses a lot of what you guys said. And I think what bothers me the most is that this film is kind of a shell of what the franchise is. And it's almost like Hollywood took all of the good parts away from the Matrix. And then Lana was not either up to the challenge of continuing the franchise or trying to reinvent it. She did neither. This movie didn't say anything new. There's no gunplay, there's no hand-to-hand fighting, there's no good camera work. The fashion is gone.
Says bullet time.
The music, there's no music. And all of those things, when they're sitting in the room talking about what is the Matrix, those are the things that are the Matrix to me. Like, I don't necessarily think bullet time, but as a whole, all of those things make up what the Matrix is. And so what was frustrating to me is this film felt like, when I was talking to Tanya yesterday, I said, it feels like a made for TV movie from the early 2000s, but I think it's worse than that. This feels like a direct to DVD sequel to a movie.
It felt like a YouTuber fan.
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched it at home.
And
thank you, COVID.
I think it's fascinating to me that they use Chad Stahelski as an actor in this, where when I saw him and I watched the action in this movie, I was like, no, you need that dude behind the camera, because he certainly could have delivered.
Ooh, yeah.
He was the husband.
He was Chad. Oh, that
was
was
Chad.
Chad.
Yes. So you want to talk about meta. And so I think that says a lot to me about where he's gone. And I kind of hinted at this before when I was talking about John Wick. Like, he has created a franchise that has a lot of what the Matrix had for me without of the philosophical aspect to it, which is, it sucks that that's gone, but it has the hand-to-hand fighting, the gunplay, the music, and all of the other things that I associate with the Matrix, good camera work. And it's just completely absent from this movie. And we're left with a love story that's not particularly good. And a lot of people seem to be balking at the love conquers all thing. But to me, that was always the center of this series. It was always the central point and purpose. Like, Neo gets killed in the end of the first one. Who brings him back? Trinity brings him back. They make their decisions in the second and third one based on how much they care about each other. And while that's the nucleus of a lot of what's going on, there's still other interesting stuff that's happening throughout the course of those movies. And so none of that is present here. And so I was just incredibly disappointed by what we got. I'm not angry, and I'm kind of surprised that I'm not, but I think it's because they made something that was so meh that it doesn't evoke anger.
Yeah.
I'm not angry either. It was just like, especially since until we saw the most recent trailer, I was like, why are we doing this? This is going to be garbage. Like, they can't recapture the magic. Since it was announced, I've thought that way.
But I think you can, because the fact that here we are again, 20 plus years later, our relationship with technology is so different. Yeah. And it's so, in the 90s, there was this, number one, the big bad boogeyman was a government guy in a black suit, which is why Hugo Weaving, being this menacing figure, was so like, yeah, the government coming and pulling you out of something and interrogating you and taking your rights away. Who's the big boogeyman now? Angry fucking mobs that can take your entire livelihood away through technology. So the fact that, like, our boogeymen are different, but they're technologically based. Our attitudes towards each other are totally different because of technology. I feel like they had something to say. Maybe they don't agree with those particular points, but you can't look at the world as it is today and not say that we have such a different relationship with our devices and with each other.
With machines. Literally.
With machines.
Holding a machine in my hand.
How we connect to each, we're on a fucking Zoom call talking
about recording
on
machines.
Well, so to your point, Tanya, what I think is kind of stupid about it is, even in the first Matrix, they hinted at something that is very true now. Cypher was a person that kind of knew the truth about what the world was, and he still wanted to be ignorant. I think that right now we have that times 10. And so now, like, Cypher didn't. So the thing that was funny about Cypher was
for a piece of fucking steak.
Yeah. What I find funny about that is Cypher did not know, like, the other part, like whether or not the one is real, whether or not Neo had those powers. These people know. They know. And I think a better movie would have been like, yeah, I know that you have all these powers and all this other stuff, and I know what the quote unquote truth is, but this is my truth and I want this more. Like
we
people
have
today are
terabytes of data available to us at the palm of our hands. We have so much information in front of us and so much truth in front of us. It's too much. It's an overload. I don't care. I'd rather just sit here and look at kitty cats.
I would just rather be, the cat tricks, right? I'd rather look at the cat tricks and be ignorant about what happens. Like there is a better story about what's happening in the world today based on what they even said in the first one. There's a better story based on what they even hinted at in this one. They hinted at a struggle between the machines, a power struggle that was going on and things like that. That would have been a better movie than what we fucking got in this. And it's frustrating that, and I'm sorry. So I don't want to rant too much because this is the question that I had for Tanya and Jammer and Nick and Danny. I want you guys to chime in on this as well, because I wanted to know, part of the question I had after watching this is like, who the fuck was this movie for? Because to Tanya's point, it's like, why are you showing me this again? I watched this when I was a kid. Like, I got it. Is it for new people or is it for old people? Yeah, it's all just retread.
I just watched The Matrix the day before, just the first 30 minutes. And then I'm like, they're showing us the first 10 minutes again, just with different actors playing agents.
So here's what I found. And I think this is it, at least to me. And you guys can tell me whether or not I'm wrong and then react to it. So Lana explained how for years she and Lily saw the story The Matrix is concluded. However, every year Warner Brothers would ask them to make another one. So we get a lot of that conversation within this movie.
I didn't mind that. I picked that up and thought, And even with Keanu Reeves, like they probably did that with him too. Like, please come back. Please come in. It's like, no, I'm doing something else.
They fucking did it with Harry Potter, right? They're almost there. So the rest of this quote is, she said, "It never was interesting to me as an idea to continue it. Then something really hard happened. Both my parents got ill. My dad got ill first and my mom, and I went home to take care of them. And we were really close to them. And also a really good friend died in a very short period of time. It was this constant grief. My dad died, then this friend died, then my mom died. And I really didn't know how to deal with this process of grief." And what she goes on to say is that crying and grieving about this is what brought this particular story to her mind. And so she compared Neo and Trinity to her parents, and bringing them back to life helped with the grieving process of dealing with losing all of these people in real life. And so for me, it was very interesting because I thought there are some really great stories that are very personal and come from folks. And I did not think that this was one of them. But I was curious, Tanya, you've already talked about what you do as someone who searches for feelings and words to say about how you feel and how other people feel. And Jammer as a writer, both of you, can you chime in on this? And I'm curious what you all think, if anything.
I didn't pick that up at all. In fairness, their love story to me was always the weakest part, even from the first one, because I felt like it diminished her as the character that they built up. And in watching this movie and watching what they did with her, it made me think of Sam from Lord of the Rings. Like, if Neo is Frodo, she could have been the Sam, where she did all this shit and she's actually the Lord of the Rings, but he's just the center character. And to me, it seems like if all of this, are we in spoilers? I assume, yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
If all of this buildup was that they're both the one, like in a binary ones and zeros kind of, they're 1-0, like he's 1 and she's 0-0-1. And so if they're what they are, again, this is with the if then, why was this not the story of him being her Morpheus, where you're the key to all this, let me get you out? Everything with her seems so tacked on at the end. Her flying thing, there was nothing climactic about it. It was just they did her another disservice by making her into this, I had kids and I don't think I wanted them, and I'm kind of just woman problems. And her turnaround in the coffee shop came from fucking nowhere. So I didn't see, I think did you explain to me so they needed to be miserable for the machine to keep going? Like, I was like, okay.
For people to not fight this version of the Matrix, them being miserable in their lives kept everyone from fighting, which I don't understand why.
Magic.
They made me, exactly. They made me not mind. Yeah, they made me not mind the idea that they've been linked up and they've both been the key to all this, because then it makes that shit in the sequel, him going through the door to go get her. That makes sense. But just the way they did with it, okay, well, if she's the one who needs to be pulled out immediately for everything to reboot, yes, he's Keanu Reeves, So you make him the focal point, but you lost a lot in the storytelling. So I hope I'm not coming across as, I hope I'm not bashing her personal story or bashing her grief. I did not see that come through in what happened. This just felt like they tacked on the romance again when they can make this. She's the first thing we saw. She was the first scene in the first movie. She was the introduction to the Matrix, and her scene was fucking phenomenal. And everything they did to her after that was just to kind of make her a damsel in distress. Why? So yeah, I didn't get that at all.
I mean, as far as what you talked about in terms of her parents dying or friends and parents dying, I almost see this as as far as how it plays out in the plot, that's almost like not even a part of it. It almost just seems like, oh, I want some form of control in my life, so I'm going to bring back these characters that I can bring back to life.
Yeah.
As far as how they did it, I don't get it. I guess that's a part of it. Like, here's the thing: at the end of the day, if this was therapeutic for her and she's better for it, then like, all right, cool, whatever, that's good for you. I'm not mad about it. Do your thing. Good for you. I'm proud.
I feel like based on what so that's the frustrating thing. You're right. And as the creator of the Matrix, she certainly has greater agency about what this should be. And to Tanya's reference of a first draft, I feel like as a catharsis, you write this and you put it in a drawer, and then you create the thing that we as the consumers are going to consume.
Resonate with.
Yeah, because none of what was in this movie resonated for me as someone who is a fan of the first one. And now I'm looking at the other two like, you know what, maybe I treated you too harshly after watching this one.
Especially
actually, I feel like this one made it worse. This one made the other ones worse because it made, to me, I used to think of like, oh, the other ones were like, they had sort of deep meanings covered in sort of a glossy, kung fu type, whatever. And now this, I was like, no, that was just stupid. This is like dumb. Like, is it all this dumb? That's literally what I was thinking.
No. Or just really quickly, like, I'm a huge fan of A24 and all of the weird meta shit they put out. And super horror fan, most of horror movies now have some sort of mental health, mental illness, grief, neurodivergence, some sort of like underlying thing. And so if you think about what Midsommar was a fucked up breakup. And it was Ari Aster playing out his breakup on screen with a horror movie with a cult thing, or Hereditary, all that stuff he does. It can be done. You can take a weird, complicated premise or a horror genre, or any other genre, and kind of play your grief out into it. And it comes through pretty well. And even with those movies, we would probably have all our own interpretation of what he was trying to say. And at the end of the day, he's like, no, I had a really bad breakup and that's what I was doing. So yes, all of those things, we can all make meaning from it. We can all find it entertaining. He can have his catharsis and the movie can still be stellar and entertaining. And I just don't think, I hate the feeling that I'm conflating her grief with the quality of this movie, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying I didn't see it. I didn't pick that up. And also I wasn't entertained by this movie.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's just, I wasn't entertaining. Like I said, I was sitting there going like, I wish I cared so that I could feel like even Googling what the fuck is going on in this movie is worth my time. But I just didn't. Like,
the answers wouldn't be satisfying, which is the other part. Like, I love doing deep dives into movies and looking at all the hidden meaning. I don't want to know, because I know whatever it says, it's not going to be satisfying. So I'd rather do a deep dive into the second and the third one at this point, because I found really good information. It kind of brought me back. Found really good information on what they were trying to do there.
I love the second one though. The second one was fucking my jam back in the day, but that's because I was a kid and I was just like, sequel.
I like the Cadillacs. So yeah, I can't.
That was really good.
But I think it's I get it, what she's saying, but I almost get it from a different point of view. After Liam Neeson's wife died in a skiing accident, that's when he started throwing himself at movie roles, and like he got taken, and then he just picked up every action movie he could once Hollywood learned he's still an action star. So I see it that way. A lot of people they throw themselves into their work, even if it isn't making a movie necessarily, in order to deal with their grief, almost like distract yourself. To a broader point, not as much talking about reviving the characters as like reviving her parents. And it could have been something other than The Matrix, but that's obviously probably also nostalgic for her, like one of the things she enjoyed most in her life. So I think it's more about throwing yourself into something ambitious and keeping yourself busy so you're not always thinking about the sadness and grief.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok that said you don't have to be good at a hobby, you just have to enjoy doing it. So if she enjoyed it, good for her.
And they also always say, I see people tweet this all the time, that even a bad movie a lot of effort was put into it by everyone from the director to the PA, even if it's a bad movie.
I'm glad you said that. And I think the thing that's keeping me from being angry is it didn't feel like a cash grab at any point, despite this being the 4th sequel from a 20-year-old franchise. I never got the feeling that they were trying to rip me off. It felt like they wanted to do something with a lot of stuff in it and just fell in love with all their ideas and couldn't let anything go.
That's the thing with any Wachowski movie for me. Like, I think I like
Speed Racer
2 or 3 of them of all their movies, but like even their other movies that are like really bad or I really don't like, I was kind of like, well, you tried really hard, good for you. You did your thing and you weren't deterred. So
you'd be a great primary school teacher.
You would.
No, I would not.
You like all the bless your hearts to the movies that you throw out there. Like you tried it. It's all right. Bless your heart.
Like Jupiter
so hard.
Ascending.
Here's
the thing. You can't look at Jupiter Ascending. You can't look at Jupiter Ascending and say like, oh, they phoned that in. It's just no. They just went hard into it.
They swung the fences and threw that bat and just fucking hit the pitcher in the face.
I think
I'm the pitcher.
The way he feels about them is the way I feel about Zack Snyder, where I dislike most of his movies, but it's not like he's half-assing any of it.
Yeah,
he's doing his vision and sticking to it. I just don't like most of his movies.
I think what those people need is someone to tell them no.
Yeah,
and I think what.
But like, is it that big of a deal if they just keep making their shitty movies and like we just don't watch them? Like,
then do a George Lucas and keep them shits in your vault. I think it's George Lucas and some other guy, like they just make movies for themselves. I can't remember who the other David Lynch, maybe. I think they just make personal movies for themselves.
I know at least George Lucas does for sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do that, but like, I don't know. I guess I'm not offended by bad movies. They're there, they exist, and it's fine. I could just ignore them.
Yeah.
And be okay.
Plus, I mean, like I said, when I also talked about, I wasn't expecting it to be good just from the beginning of its announcement. A lot of that was the fact that the last 2 are not good. And I don't know, for some reason I was a little worried because it was only one of them directing.
I expected it to be linear, like I expected linear. What a weird word to use in this context. I expected it to be sensical, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm actually
surprised it wasn't weirder. I was expecting to go weirder.
In what sense?
I don't know. I was expecting, because I was watching, I'm like, oh, I don't care. This is kind of confusing. But also, like, it wasn't confusing in a way where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I can't believe it. It's more of just like, I don't know if
I think, that's what I was about to say. I think that there were things that happened, like you've already said, that you just did not give a shit to try and figure out what was happening.
It took them an hour to convince Neo to leave the Matrix. Yeah. It didn't take that long in the first movie.
Well, I'm actually
film is getting him out of the Matrix.
But he had therapy and he was trying to work his program.
Right.
That guy's the architect, to me, right? Or
he's the new architect.
Yeah.
And what doesn't bother me about it taking longer, like I do think a year is a very long time, but more if you said in the first one, right? The older a mind is, the harder it is to pull them out. And so I think that they really, it's frustrating because like you can see it, right? Like you can see that you were so close to being able to build off of some of the ideas that you had and you whiffed.
He's
Danny,
like 90.
Who?
Neo at that point, or Keanu, didn't they? He's probably about 30 in the original movie, and they said it's actually been 60
years
since the Matrix. You remember,
but he's only aged a little bit. And then
Niobe, she's take makeup. What the fuck was that about?
That makeup was intense.
Yeah, Niobe. Marvel.
I thought it was. Well, that's what happens when you eat like rust flavored slop, right? That's what you look like. Those are the results. Eat healthy.
Not anymore. Strawberries all day, every day.
All them blueberries, baby.
Strawberries and blueberries all day, every day. She's having her breakfast bowl with her freaking steel cutouts. She's doing good.
Well, Colorado.
Danny, given how this ended, it was unclear to me whether or not there would be more movies, and we haven't had an announcement from Warner Brothers, but do you want to see more of this to understand where it's going?
Unfortunately not. And I think that was one of the bigger problems that came out of having so many great ideas thrown into that bucket and swished around, is that there was no, we all feeling this whole like, well, whatever, don't care, meh attitude towards it. And so there was nothing for us to go, I cannot wait to see this, or how is this going to progress, etc., etc. But also, I do remember the end of the first one where it was left ambiguous, where you just, we're going to change stuff, and then he flies up into the air, and then that great soundtrack kicked off, and that was a great ending to that film. It could have been an end, which leads us thinking, wow, I wonder what happens next. So I suppose in a way this one does end the same as that. Well, what does happen now that Neo and Trinity are there? But unfortunately, I think most of us are left with, I don't care what happens with Neo and Trinity now, because they didn't do a very good job of catching on to those great ideas. Tanya, there was something you mentioned about the whole mob mentality and the fact that we're stuck to our smartphones. That little montage when Keanu was taking the blue pills and then slowly decided to stop, it included Neo noticing that everyone was staring at a screen.
Elevator.
And then the major, remember I can't remember what they called it, the swarm, activate the swarm thing, where the mob was then
the zombie bot. I actually like their transition.
So
I like that idea.
Yeah.
There was those great ideas, but unfortunately they didn't seem to cling to those. They went with whatever they went with, with Smith coming back and being an errant program, but no, I didn't understand it. But those ideas were there. We've all noticed those good ideas, and unfortunately they didn't nail them, and which means that I don't care about a potential sequel.
It's weird to me that Free Guy did NPCs better than The Matrix.
Yeah,
I wonder why they didn't call them NPCs. I wondered about that because they made the TIFF joke, and I remember telling you if they make a JPEG or a GIF joke, I'm gonna punch my TV. But yeah, they were making it to the computer. Oh, she's TIFF.
NFT.
Yeah.
Named the character.
I don't. It's frustrating to me, and it goes back to my initial comment about this, that there are other properties and other series and other movies and other franchises that have just sucked the life out of this series, and Lana just gave us nothing. She had nothing left except for grief.
Inception and what was the other one I was thinking of?
Doctor Strange.
Oh no, but like Inception did the same plot better. God, I had another one that was like one of the trippy movies.
you could go down the hole, right? There are any number of franchises that do aspects of this better. And I distinctly remember watching a commercial and seeing bullet time on television, and in my brain I was like, oh, it's over. Like I remember thinking like, this is the moment where this idea has become so cheap and so easy to reproduce for just a commercial that it would be hard for the Matrix to follow up and do something. And that is indeed true.
Do you know what the equivalent is? The con screen. Once it's in a commercial, you can't put that in a Star Trek sequel and make that a thing that people are going to feel any pathos about. Somebody's
once Jon Stewart said it, and once it's in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and once
it was a Seinfeld joke. Once it's a joke, you can't make it. And I liked that they tweaked it to use it against him, but then I didn't like that they referenced it when they were doing it.
They called it what we
I've got one word for you. Bullet time. Like, oh God.
We didn't call it that when it was happening. We weren't looking. It was just they slowed it down so we could see what was happening because the machines move so fast we wouldn't be able to see it. It wasn't a thing in itself. It was a thing to show you, the audience, this is how fast they're moving. I liked Neil Patrick Harris in the beginning when he was very sinister. I remember, again, being a mental health professional, I remember thinking like, man, this is really something, how being a mental health professional, you have this you're tethering this person to reality, and it's the power we have. You can tether that person to whatever reality you want to tether them to. And there's something very sinister and very mind fucky about it. So the fact that they went into that and they had him as the new architect, it was my favorite part of the movie, of course, probably for very, self-serving reasons. I love that part. And then they turned him into a cartoon at the end. I didn't understand what that last scene was about with them punching the pixels off him. It was just like, why?
Because I didn't understand him. I didn't understand the motivation between him and Smith, the relationship. I just didn't get it. I was just like, I feel like there's
that Smith
something here, but why? Like, I understood Smith was rogue, but like,
Was he on his side
and like
not?
when he helped them
before
he's like
third act too.
when he said like, oh yeah, like so he didn't come back after he saved them from Neil Patrick Harris, or did he? I don't fucking remember. No, he didn't come back.
We don't see him at all again.
And then also, why did he try and stop them from their revenge?
Program? Who gives a fuck about this old ass program? Are you picking up your Nintendo cartridges and playing with them? Who gives a fuck about this Agent Smith program? Why was he not something else?
Yeah,
because I think it's the freedom part. Like he's not even like they don't have enough control over him. He's part of the system. That remember they have something where why use this old code?
No, I get it, but that old code still wouldn't work. He's still a Nintendo in a PS5 world. Like it's still, why is he? In reference to the universe, it doesn't make sense for them to still be wandering around, being able to do shit.
Yeah.
Well, I got
because they've already
Super
talked about
Nintendo
in the
games
older
on my
movies.
Switch.
Well, no, because here's the deal. They've already talked about the fact that in older movies, those people are exiles, but he was clearly not. So usually old code was a werewolf or a vampire or a ghost or what the fuck ever, but they were not part of the central program. This version of Smith was walking around, had a life and all this other stuff, and seemed to recall who he was once that gun fell. So it doesn't, like to Tanya's point, it doesn't make any sense within the context of the universe.
Well, why
because we
care?
know,
yeah,
right, we know what is supposed to happen to those characters, and we even saw them, right? We saw the Merovingian, we saw the exiles for whatever the fuck reason,
I
and
didn't
then
know who those
Smith
people
brought
were.
them for whatever the fuck reason. Like it just seems like a bunch of ideas. Like it. What I don't like about this movie is, so Tanya, you said it didn't feel like a cash grab or like they were trying to rip you off. What bothers me about this movie is I don't know why the Merovingian was there. And it feels like, hey, we're just going to do this because we know that you all want this. We're just going to throw this stuff in here because we know, like, Morpheus is going to say this stuff.
Callback of all the callbacks.
And I just
what is the word you keep saying? The Merovingian? What?
Those guys from the second
French character.
All talk at the same time, please. It's very helpful.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The
Say
Frenchman. We're done it again. This is Peter Parker. I'm Peter. We're all Parker. The Frenchman.
Doesn't work.
The Merovingian.
And I think that's what makes part of this so hard. When they were eating, when they went to, it was
the chateau.
Yeah, they went to the chateau. They were eating food. He had the deal with them. Persephone was his wife.
He made the jizz cake.
The second one, Gamma.
Wait, were they in this movie?
Jizz cake.
Yeah,
nice.
they were that crazy people who were dressed weird, and they're like, "You did this to me," or whatever.
The twins, the ghost twins belong.
I remember the ghost twins now, but I don't.
They work for him.
I don't remember them being in this movie.
He was like, they were all like wearing trash and stuff. No, it's that big stupid fight scene.
What the fuck was that? Those
characters.
Yeah, so that's him. That was him.
Smith brought them there for some reason.
And we don't know what, like, I don't understand that. Like, why was Smith trying to stop them? Like, what, like, why did, like, Tanya said, why do you give a fuck?
Why did he look homeless? What was that supposed to symbolize?
Because I think that it was supposed to say, like, he's
now?
even more of an exile. Before he was an exile that had some modicum of power as a power broker within the Matrix. Now he is nothing because they've rebooted the Matrix.
They get dirty? Why are they just not glitchy? They punch the pixels off another computer program, but he just gets dirty like a person, like a regular person who doesn't have stuff. So
I don't know. But yeah, so I was gonna say that what bothers me about this is, like, yeah, just the idea, like, you just threw this in here for this reason, and it felt cynical when those fucking yuppies were sitting in a room. And I was, shout out for yuppies. Martha Jones being in the room with them, having this conversation and pointing out that the Catrix guys were morons. But it felt cynical because they're trying to say what is cool about the Matrix. And it's like, I don't know if they're saying that we as fans don't get the point of what makes the Matrix cool, or what we associate, or like who are they pointing out?
I felt called out at, quoting it in normal conversations like many people did. It's like, oh shit, are they telling me that I've been an annoying asshole?
Right. And so those couple of things bother me about this movie, because then what I also find interesting about that is you also didn't make a movie that I thought was particularly good. So which part of that is a fuck you to me? Because one of those things is.
You don't have to take it personally. So I shouldn't,
but I'm curious who those people in the boardroom are supposed to be.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
because remember, Jude was having that conversation with him in the beginning and saying like, oh, I grew up on this and I was a huge fan and now I work like every person that I have talked to about this movie, as they're talking about this movie, and Tanya, you did at the beginning talking about this, you recalled how you reacted to the first one. I think, Danny, you did the same thing. And you just remember walking out of that movie theater and having these feelings and then you're like, and this is what
everything.
I get.
Yeah.
And so it's hard not to recall that, listen to people talk about it, and then watch someone like Jude kind of be a prick on screen. And I'm like, all right, well, who is this? Is that me? I quote The Matrix. Are you talking like, it's problematic because I can't figure out what that's supposed to be.
A weird jumbled package of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm only comforted in the fact that this movie is shit. So like, if
So
you're
who are you
calling
to call me out, you piece of shit?
if you're calling me out, you've made a shit movie. So like, which of us is the asshole?
Yeah.
Both of you.
I'm not upset about this movie not being good, but I think that part of it does bother me because I'm really curious about that.
What did y'all think of the casting?
The cat scene at the very end?
Casting.
Oh,
I like Neil Patrick
I
Harris.
really like Bugs.
She said, "What's up, Doc?" That killed me.
But I liked her.
Again,
Like, so
that's DC. I mean, Warner Brothers just referencing their own properties over and over.
yeah,
And over.
I thought she had charisma. I thought that she's
just
pretty
great.
good at this. I do think that they cast
at everything she does.
Yeah, I do think that they cast too many people. And Tanya, I told you this yesterday. Like in my mind, I can very quickly go Switch, APOC, Dozer, Tank, Cypher, Trinity, Morpheus. Like I know who these people are at the drop of the hat. I can't fucking remember who anybody on this. I don't even know the name of the new ship. They said it multiple times.
Anonymity.
No, she said it wrong. She said like Nemesis. Is it Nemosine?
That's it, Tanya.
Who knows, right?
I have my peanut butter in my mouth to pronounce it correctly.
Like the way Nebuchadnezzar rolled off of Morpheus's mouth, like it just like it. This movie. Oh, going back to the cast. I'm gonna go on a rant. There were too many people in this movie for me to care about. There were a couple that I did like. I did like Neil Patrick Harris. I did like Bugs. Groff as an Agent Smith did nothing for me.
I don't know. I like that actor.
It's not scary.
I like him as an actor.
Yeah, me too.
I did not think that he was right for this part. He was not right for someone that was like a tech dude bro that could then go sinister.
That's also fucked up. Then you needed an Eisenberg, Zuckerberg, but not playing it so autistic. They called them as autistic, but somebody really sinister and not obviously good looking. I don't know.
And so to me, you all probably won't agree with this because I don't think he physically fits the part, but Topher Grace kind of has done this within the same movie before where he is totally normal. And then you're like, holy shit, like Predators with also Lawrence Fishburne.
I was just going to mention the same thing. Predators was great for that.
That's the transition that I need from like, oh, this guy is a doctor. He's a healer. Like we should be pulling for him. And like, oh, no. He's murdering everyone. Yeah. Like, so I think that they did an okay job in casting, but I think there were just too many people. I also hated the fact that
I didn't like new Morpheus.
I hated that Morpheus and
he kept pointing at himself,
to meet.
and he's not nearly as cool as Lawrence.
No, I agree.
Lawrence Fishburne's just so goddamn cool.
I like him as a different character because he's not technically Morpheus, but I don't know. He reminds me of a lot of my favorite actors recently. I'm not saying he's one of my favorites. You just seem to be having fun making the movie, and like he's a little bit more eccentric. He reminds me a little bit.
I'm just happy to be here.
Kang.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Jamie Foxx in not to only name black actors, but Jamie Foxx having fun in No Way Home. Kang, Jonathan Majors having.
Kang the Conqueror would have been perfect. The guy who played Jet in Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
I like him.
Good.
I also couldn't stop looking at the back of his head. It was very fictiony, where I'm like, as a bald guy, I'm looking at the back of his head.
Not hamburger, hot dog packet.
Yeah, whatever that was. I couldn't tell if that was.
What was wrong with the back of his head?
It was like I couldn't tell if it was like actually his skull or if like he had some reaction to having his head shaved. Because I don't remember it looking that bad in Watchmen, but I don't know.
Huh.
Oh,
Can we also
that's what he's
really
from.
random. Christina Ricci was in a single like
Yes.
scene.
Yeah.
What was that
Don't
about?
understand that.
Just people who want like Star Wars, people who just, I really like this franchise. Can I have like a really stupid part in the bathroom?
I think that's it
doesn't get
exactly,
cut.
because Freema Agyeman, who is Martha Jones, I think The Matrix is her favorite movie, so I think the same thing happened.
What was she?
She was one of the people like, what the fuck is wrong with you all? You guys know there's a post-credit scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the
It was
geeks
the
talking again.
Catrix. The Catrix.
So
Yeah.
she's the one
like
across
30
from the
seconds.
table, like, what is wrong with you all? She was wearing glasses. Yeah. I was super excited, and I just got disappointed by the whole conversation.
It's the shortest
what was
post-credit
it?
sequence I've seen. Like I almost fast forwarded past it. Because
What was
I
it?
just was at home. What?
What was what? The scene?
I had
It's
no
just those
idea,
geeks.
So we
sitting
go
around
back
again,
to the
programmers.
Yep.
And what you finish it because I didn't catch the whole thing. Like
So
something
they
about
go
cats are
back
better.
to the table, and they're trying to figure out like what the Matrix is and what people like and what they're gonna do. And then like, we've got it, the Catrix, and it's just a bunch of people watching cat videos. And then everybody else on the table is like, what?
I didn't realize you were actually referencing something when you said that earlier. I
Yeah,
thought you
no.
made that up on your own.
It's like a 20 to
I'm not
15
that-
to 20 second post-credit scene.
Yeah. So I don't
But
know.
see, there you go. They've touched on that whole thing that Tanya mentioned earlier, where we've got so much shit going on that I'm happy just staring at my TikTok and watching cat videos, that kind of shit. But again, it was such a throwaway thing that they didn't dig deep enough into. And in the end, it was a post-credits scene that just I'm glad I didn't fucking hang around for that. Yeah.
I was folding clothes and it just happened to be on.
Can someone explain to me what was going on when Trinity and Bugs were like having that switch between them where
I didn't get it.
she was like, and it was like there was like parts,
So
like
I
little
rewound
parts of
that
the
part.
silhouettes.
It was just like, I don't, okay.
what I think was happening was they couldn't just pull her out for some strange reason. They needed to transfer her consciousness and whatever. She needed to be able to say
Something
yes.
to do with she needs to take the red pill, remember?
Yeah.
And she hadn't, so you can't just pull them out cold. They need to know that they've made a choice, so to speak, and that was the
But
danger.
remember, like
What
the
is-
red pill
what
in the
is the-
first movie, it's so they can track their bodies. Morpheus tells them it's the purpose of the real purpose of the red pill. And now it's just
Well, I mean,
no,
it's 60
she's
years
doing
later,
the
so maybe
exit.
it has a different purpose.
Because they know where Trinity is. Obviously, they don't need to. Get
So anyways,
I think it's
back to my question. So like when she was
I don't have an
so
answer for
somehow
that.
like swapping between her and Bugs, somehow it makes it the transition. What?
Yeah.
Science. Dude.
Yeah, what? That doesn't make any sense.
I understood it
I
as they
don't-
stored Trinity's memories. They stored Trinity's brain, for want of a better word, in Bugs whilst they woke her up, so they could wake her up gently and nicely without the red pill, and then put her memory back inside her. That's what I thought they were explaining what was going to happen. When it actually happened, Jammer, I was like you. I'm like, well, I don't understand what's happening now, because now they're glitching between each other, and then suddenly she woke up all right, and I was like, so did Bugs turn into Trinity briefly there? Did she then act like Trinity? And that the only way I've got any kind of understanding of it is how they was explaining it beforehand. You know, when they were standing around the well with the young Indian girl that was grown up, the one that was explaining
Sati.
how the plan
And
was gonna work.
she's the first person born in the Matrix, right? Or
Sati.
something.
So when she was
Sati.
explaining it, that's what I thought she was explaining, Jammer, that they were storing her brain temporarily whilst they woke her up, and they were storing it in Bugs. When it
And they didn't
happened,
show it.
I was as lost as you were.
Yeah, I agree with Danny. The explanation made more sense than when we actually watched it go down.
What we actually
I was
saw.
like, wait, this isn't what they said they were going to do at all.
They didn't get the real kid. They didn't do that in-game funeral where they got the actual kid from Iron Man 3.
I thought they
Now
would.
get
You're
the
right.
actual kid from the movie, which I thought was, she's still around.
Maybe
Why
she's
not?
not.
Wait, they got
she's
definitely
is
the
that,
not.
the same,
actress,
was that
though?
actually her? Was that actually her?
No, that was
No,
Barbara
it wasn't.
It's not her.
Well, maybe they just cast a good actress instead
Yeah.
of like the kid in Iron Man just had to stand there. It's not like he was doing a big acting scene. So if she's not an actor, you want to hire someone.
I know
who's
she had to
skilled
do
pull off that
surgery.
role.
She had to do surgeries. That's super important. Need a good actor.
Okay. That's why they got her to do that. We know that one Indian American actress who's like a Bollywood person. Let's get the person we know. Okay.
Oh, is she a Bollywood actress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Big
didn't
time.
know that.
Big time.
She's married to one of the Jonas
The
brothers.
Jonas Brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
No, damn.
Oh!
I didn't know who she
I always
was.
want to call them the Venture Brothers.
She's married to Dean.
What
Anything
is
else
her
to say?
name?
What?
Priyanka
Who?
I'm trying-
Chopra. No,
Okay,
not
Priyanka
pronounced it
Chopra. That was her?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
her?
Yes.
See, I apparently don't know what she looks like because I didn't know that was
You know
her.
why? Because they did like the 90s movie thing where they gave her glasses and pulled her hair back. So you're like, who the fuck
So
is
she's
that? And she just like
automatically
let it
not hot.
down. Yeah,
Automatically ugly.
that's what happens.
Let's
That's how it
pretend, let's
works.
pretend she's not like attractive. Just throw
Glasses,
some glasses on
Ponytail. That's how it works.
Then
Overall,
you
since
remove
president
them
give her
and you can take
overalls.
them to the prom.
I'll take you to prom only if you remove those god awful.
Put your hair
glasses.
down.
Stop reading that book.
Here's some
What
makeup.
what's wrong with you?
Women used to be so much easier to control, right? That's what they used to say. That's what
Yeah.
Democrats
What was the Connery
Right,
line?
Jesus
It's
Christ.
Deserve a good slap.
Jesus Christ.
That line was interesting.
Ah,
What I
Anyway.
said? Connery said.
But
uh,
Nick,
No.
you
Connery
gotta
said that.
you
That
gotta
was
say
No, I
it
know
in a
the
Sean
line from the
Connery
movie.
accent.
Oh,
The
what
line
was
from
the
the
line
movie.
in the
Oh
movie?
wait, no. Did he said that in the movie?
No, Connery had
Yeah.
an interview.
no, not the
Stop
slap.
talking about
We're
Connery.
not talking about
What are
the
you
slap.
talking
We're
about?
not
Okay,
talking about the
I'm
slap.
talking about the Matrix Resurrections, where which was the character? Was
Neil
it
Patrick
it was
Harris.
Neil
Oh, he
Patrick
did.
Harris. He
Oh.
said,
I missed that
yeah,
one.
he said women used to be so much easier to control.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
very random.
Must be a reference to how movies have evolved.
No, it was a reference to like she made it more difficult to like because she was taking more agency, and he was like, oh, women used to be so much easier to control. So I guess they were more complacent about stuff as a result. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, does anybody have anything else they'd like to say about this movie?
No,
I might
I could
watch it
complain
again
all day.
in the background while doing
I
something
think I like
else.
it. I like
try
it
to
less
understand
now
it.
than I did before.
That's crazy because you thought it was shit.
I have one
What's
last
worse
thing.
than shit?
I think the special effects in this
Wet
are worse than the
liquid shit.
1999 film.
Then the what?
I think the special effects in this were worse than the 1999 original film.
That's saying something.
I don't.
Well,
I don't
They were
think
just
so.
certainly
glossy and
shot
too much,
worse.
and they did what they knew they could do back then. And Bullet
It's
Time
shot
was like-
worse and the action is worse.
We didn't talk about the quick cuts and how like the action was all over. Well,
You couldn't
I
tell
said
what the
that in
fuck
my
was going on.
opening. I said that
Yeah,
in
I
my
actually-
non-spoiler review where I was basically like, none of what was good about the original was present here. And
Yeah.
to me, the Matrix's fight scenes and gunplay and all that other stuff, and like none of it.
Not just fight scenes, but like martial arts scenes. And apart
still
from like
no
the
kung
martial
fu.
arts scene we get with not Lawrence Fishburne and Neo, it's like there. I remember there's a point where they started kind of doing fisticuffs, and I was like, oh wait, where's that bit?
Yeah.
Like
Super
where's
punch.
the fighting where it's like they tap each other? Like where's
When-
that style?
When he punched him in the face and Morpheus was like, ooh, I smiled because I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. And I was hoping that this would be the moment. And then it
yeah. and
Got
What
flagged,
did we
yeah.
get? It's, instead of the big new special effects stunt thing that we had with Bullet Time in the first one 30 odd years ago, we got the slow motion thing that has been done with X-Men
Yeah.
so much better. That was our
Oh,
big magic moment. Neil Patrick
Was
Harris moving around at real time whilst everything else was slowed down. That was the big thing. It's like
that was supposed to be
we've seen
special.
it
the last
was
15 years,
interesting how they kind of
and it wasn't even
changed
better.
him. Like he was almost like glitchy the way they shot it,
Yeah.
or like cut it
Yeah.
or something.
Really disappointing.
I didn't necessarily like that, but I noticed that. I'm like, that's a choice that's bothering me.
like they
Yeah,
pointed
that-
at it too long. Like maybe if they had done it, but they hadn't, that scene went on for a really long time. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
An astral
it.
projection.
And it was so much better when Quicksilver did it in Days
Yeah.
of Future Forward, Past, Next,
And they
whatever.
repeated it
X-
over and over again and
Yep.
even killed it
Well,
themselves.
he changed everything,
And that's
right? He
that's
looked
exactly my
around.
point. It's just the idea that everything that this franchise has done, everyone does now, and they do it better.
Yeah.
And so there's
Yeah.
just not anything for them to have done in this. And I just don't think Lana was up to the challenge. And I almost wish that she had just stayed a producer. And I get it. Like this is catharsis for her, so there was no way anybody else was going to do it. But I think if
If you
they had
can't
said, "Hey,
impress us with effects, then impress us with a really good story and a
Some
really
philosophy.
good mind fucking
something.
like, wow, man, they really nailed the zeitgeist of what's going on right now. There's
Yeah.
nothing else you can do with technology, but you can make us think, which
Yeah.
the first movie did both.
oh, I definitely have thoughts."
There was some- There was another.
Oh, I remember Westworld did it better than this one. I was going to say Westworld and Westworld season 3 or 2. I don't know. Season 3 and Inception were the two that do the Matrix better than the Matrix.
Oh, right.
There's a whole philosophy in Westworld on what it is to be human, and the fact that these things are fucking alive. There could be all sorts of like, what do you call it? Ethical conflicts about like, are they fighting with another living being? Like, because it's not really just humans against machines. It's humans against things that think and things that know what they are. Yeah. Just, again, a whole bunch of missed opportunities and a whole bunch of ideas that are there, but not fleshed out.
And I thought there was going to be something, right? When they're talking about the strawberries, I was focused on the sentient that was there. Like, oh, is this going to be a thing? Like, nah.
He just helps.
You going to have Niobe talk to this fake Morpheus? Nah. Okay.
He's Dummy, basically, from Iron Man. What was his name? The handbot.
Dummy.
Is his name Dummy? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah, they just treated him like he's Dummy. Okay, he's a pet, basically.
Yeah, he was weird, and then he like was running around somehow out. I didn't understand. I thought he was like a projection from something, but then he was like running around actually doing things like in the real world, like jumping between the pot. Like what? I don't understand the rules of this ethereal body.
Because we need
ethereal, not ethereal. Yeah.
Why don't you put some clothes on that body? Maybe he just likes being naked, right? It was like,
rude.
Oh, Watchmen, I was naked. Let's be naked here too. I guess.
There was something else that what was it that bothered me about this movie? I don't remember, but I had something specific.
You guys have talked.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
even less than I did.
I think I would give it like a D plus.
A D plus.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
It wasn't incompetent, but it was just like, why?
C- sounds good, Jonesy.
Because I kind of actively dislike it, but not in an offensive way.
I think, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna take Jammer's. I can't believe I didn't know I said that. Oh yeah.
You haven't said
I walked into this thinking that this was going to be a C, but unless someone can explain to me what's up with those people in the room and who they're supposed to be, like who is Jude, I feel like this is a D plus C minus.
Oh man.
Because it genuinely bothers me because I can't tell. Are you making fun of me? Like what's going on here? I don't know why that bothers me so much.
I talked over Danny's grade.
What?
Didn't you already give you? I talked over your grade.
Did you? I didn't. I D.
Oh, you hadn't yet? So I talked over something else.
That's a D.
D.
D for disappointed.
God, that's sad.
I can't even say I'm disappointed because the last thing I said to you about it was my expectations were low and they were met.
That's a way to watch a movie.
And the thing I walked away with was like, this is a D plus paper, but I'm going to give this kid a C minus because I know he means well. Like that's the way I'm not referring to the Wachowskis because that would mean I'd misgendered. I mean, like the franchise itself, they mean well. They've been trying really hard. I know they have it in them and they need to pass.
I don't think they do have it in them. And we've talked about this before outside the context.
They made Speed Racer, sir.
And that's my point, right? You were the only one that likes that fucking movie. And so outside of that,
amazing.
I don't think you're the resident pre-K teacher and you don't want to fail anybody. So yeah.
No. Wait. Hold on a second. I'm not the only one. Hold on. Cloud Atlas is shit.
I'm sorry, you're like one of two.
No, there's more than two. Go look online. There's
dozens of us.
Dozens.
Yeah.
There's dozens.
Yeah.
Our numbers are in dozens.
So we're going back to Tanya's thing real quick before we wrap up. What's the Mary Jane line where it's like, if you expect to be disappointed, you won't be disappointed? Oh. That's exactly what Tanya said about The Matrix.
You realize that's not an original concept, Nick.
I know, but
Mary
like
Jane,
they say it like 5
it's relevant
times
to a
in that
movie that we all just saw that was much better.
Michelle Jones, that's exactly who I was when I was in high school. I was mopey and didn't have my look together and was very just pessimistic. So yes, it kind of goes with what which is the other reason why, at the tender age of 19, that movie was just so life-changing. This is why I'm so mopey. The world is real. None of this shit is real. Yeah, like so here we are, I'm in my nice plush office.
What are we doing next week? We got to do something better next week. We got to cure some ass next week. What are we doing?
Are we doing anything next week?
Kingsman next week.
We should do the Kingsman.
Kingsman.
The King is man.
I can be down.
King's
For that.
I'll
Match.
get tickets for like Wednesday since I work.
Sure. Let's do that.
We can do Thursday again because Friday's New Year's Eve, so we could do Thursday again.
I can do either. We haven't even wrapped up the show yet.
Yeah, I know.
I
Let's
know.
wrap up the show.
I'm going to. I was gonna
Cut the
get
check.
there. I just
There was one more thing about this movie. What the hell was it?
It's always
Something
one more
about
thing I
it.
could say about this.
do you want me to are you actually doing a thing? Are you trying to figure that out? Or you want me to
Wrap
say
it up, Jonesy.
No,
You
I'm
need to go.
legitimately trying to figure it
Wrap
out
it up,
because
B.
there's some
Cut the check.
there was something
Cut
there
the
was
check.
something here I was trying to remember. I don't
3,
I don't know.
2.
I'm done. I'm done. Don't count down. It's very patronizing.
All right, fine. Dear listeners, if you like what you heard, and I mean the podcast, not the movie, do all the socials, like, rate, comment, subscribe, share. We would definitely appreciate it. Go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and let us know what you think of the show. We would definitely appreciate it. Also, LRM has other great content. Where else but LRM online? Until then, we'll catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
I'm getting on you.
You can find me on Twitter at JamTheWriter. And
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I'm not doing that.
All right,
Mission
mission accomplished.
If they don't know you by now, they will never know you.
Fuck was the thing I wanted to talk about with the Matrix?
It's too late.
What is
Think about it. Wow.
You can text
Okay.
it to me when you remember it.
Yeah.
Matrix? No one on this podcast.
Tentatively, the King's Man next week.
Yeah, it works.